Hi, my name is Llyr. I am the host of the Phosphor Network, which is the system that runs this channel. Today I'm going to go over a few tips that either I have used myself or have given to other systems. I'd like to say right off the bat, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not claiming to be. I'm just someone with a system who knows a few tips and tricks. And I'm not telling you how to run your system either. I'm not telling you that this is the only way that you can do these things. Everyone is different. Do what works for you. I'm just someone who's tried out a few things, found that it's worked for me, found that it's worked for other systems, and I'd like to share them all with you. Now, with that out of the way, the first tip I really have for you is that you should work with your system instead of against it. You should let yourself switch first off. I know in a lot of circles it's very tempting to fight off switches, to make yourself stay in front as long as you possibly can, because it's less scary whenever you know that you're the one out. I've found that whenever I personally fight switches off, it leads to a lot more dissociation than if I had just let it happen and let the switch take place. And I've also found that sometimes it's even painful to fight off a switch. Like, physically can give me headaches painful. It's a lot easier to just let it happen and to not fight it. Let it go with the flow, you know? I'd also like to say that you should do things that work for you. There's a bit of pressure, I feel, to just do what neurotypical people do. Like, most people would just be able to remember things, but some people can't. Some systems with large amounts of amnesia might need to take to doing things a little differently, and that's okay. And you should do things differently whenever you know it'll help you. I personally have reminders set on my phone for various reasons. Usually they're to tell me how much time has passed, because I have really, really bad time blindness, and I will sit there for multiple hours and not notice that hours have gone by. It'll feel like 5 minutes to me. So I have reminders set on my phone for when I should take breaks and when I should eat and when I should take my meds, because otherwise I would not remember to do those things. Overall, you should really find what works for you. For example, for some reason, grounding techniques that use breathing don't usually work for me. I'm not sure why, they just don't do much for me. And for the longest time, I felt like I had to use breathing techniques because that's what everyone else would always recommend you do. And it does help for some things, but for other things it just didn't. Like day-to-day dissociation, the breathing techniques didn't really help all that much. And I didn't know what else to do, so I didn't, until I found some things like strong scented lotions really help ground. My point with this is, don't feel like you have to conform to what works for everybody else. You are your own person, and things that work for you are going to be different, and that is okay. You should experiment, you should try new things and see what works for you. That's the most important thing. The next tip I have is to communicate and bond with your alters. I cannot stress enough how much it helps whenever you bond with people in your head. For one, it helps you understand yourselves better. It helps settle disagreements a lot of the times, because you can, if you know somebody, then you can kind of like understand where they're coming from and start to understand their thinking process, even if it's different from your own and that you have disagreements with. You can more easily find a middle ground between the two of you. And it also helps make things a lot less scary. If you take the time to really bond and understand your alters, you can find that it's a lot less terrifying to be around them and to have those people living in your head. Because whenever you have complete strangers living in your head, that's terrifying. It's really scary to not know who they are or what their intentions are. Whenever you get to know them and you figure out what they are doing and how they're trying to help or hurt, it makes it a lot easier. Even if they are trying to hurt you somehow, it's a lot easier to deal with it once you know about it. Dealing with a person that you don't know is a lot scarier than dealing with a person that you do know, even if it's malicious in some way. And a lot of the times I found it's not even malicious, it's just trying to be helpful. They just haven't figured out that it's not exactly that helpful yet. But even if it is from a place of malice and they hate you or something, it's a lot easier to deal with whenever you know. And I feel like alters just straight up hating you for no reason is a lot less common than people realize. A lot of the times, alters are just people. They just want to do what's best for themselves and the system. And once you learn to talk and bond and actually ask those things and figure out what their actual intentions are, it can be a lot easier to guide them onto a better path for themselves and to actually become helpful. Because a lot of times they do want to be helpful, they just don't know how. And the next is just allow yourself to be yourself. Like, don't force yourself to constantly have an idea of who's at front. Don't constantly be running background checks, trying to figure out, oh, am I this person? Am I this person? It's okay to not know. It's okay to just vibe with who you currently are. You don't have to know every little thing about yourself in order to be. Don't force alter names or pronouns or, gosh, even labels like protector and caretaker. You don't have to figure all that out right away. You can just be who you are. There's nothing wrong with just being. You don't have to have everything figured out right this minute. It's okay. Along those same lines, you don't have to force everyone into this specific little box. Like, you don't have to be like, this altar loves plants, so this is the only altar that can love plants. That's not how it works. You can all have similar hobbies and favorites. Like, if one altar likes the color blue, another altar can also like the color blue. It doesn't have to be so deep as every single altar is extremely distinct and different. That's not how it works. Will altars usually have different hobbies and stuff? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they can't have similar things they like, or similar things that they do. It's okay to just be who you are. You don't have to force everything to have a place. It's okay to just be yourself. The last thing I want to talk about is apps. Apps that can help you communicate with your altars, apps that can help you figure things out a little more. The first one I'd like to recommend is Simply Plural. I've heard from a few people that it can be a little difficult to understand and get down, but Simply Plural is an app where you can log switches, have little altar profiles, run polls, all sorts of little things. I believe there's also a chat function now. I haven't used Simply Plural in a while, just because it's not as convenient for me as a few other things are. But the time that I did use it, it was really, it was a very cool, nifty app. The next is Twinote and Mystagram. They're both localized notes apps, basically, that mimic Twitter and Instagram, respectively. It's completely localized. There's nobody else on there but you can have different profiles and you can post things, and as you can probably guess, it's pretty cool whenever you have multiple accounts running a feed, and you can just like go and comment and like posts and all that, and you can mess with a bunch of different settings, and it's really neat, and it's a really good way to, like I said before, bond with your altars and get to know them a little better. I haven't used Mystagram at all, and I've used Twinote very sparingly just because it didn't really stick for our system. It just wasn't something that we were very interested in. But the time that we did use Twinote, it was pretty cool. Antar is another really good app. Antar is an internal family systems app that you're supposed to use whenever your emotions get all out of whack. You can have them sit down and have a conversation between the two parts, quote unquote, of yourself, which, as you can imagine, is also very helpful for people who have actual dissociated parts. You can make these little group chats, and you can make little chat bubbles for everybody. It's not a full-on avatar, but it is like you have your name and you have a color. It's pretty cool. I haven't used a lot of it because, again, just didn't stick because I have something else that I personally use for that type of stuff. The last one is actually a bot on Discord called Pluralkit. It makes different proxies, which show up as different accounts almost on Discord. Man, you can make them have their own profile picture and display names and all that sort of stuff. It also can log switches and track them and route together different altars, and it's super neat. It's my personal go-to for most system stuff, and it's really helped me over the years. But yeah, that's about it. I hope this helps somebody out there. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any other tips and tricks and comments or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I absolutely love learning what helps other people, and I think having different views on the same subject can really help people. So if you have anything, feel free to comment things that have worked for you in the past, things that have worked for other systems, anything like that. Just little nifty neat tips and tricks. I'd love to hear them. I'm sure other people would love to hear them as well. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.